Are we good? I think we're good. We're good? Good? What is this? Do you see this? What is this? All right. Hi, Flosstube friends. Putting all this stuff together, easy enough. Putting this stuff together, not so easy. We're a little more casual today. I went into my closet because I have already been up for hours and hours, and I'll get to that later. But so I had been in my pajamas and go to my closet and like, I need something to wear. And pulled like a cute shirt. Should I wear a sweater? No, it's too hot in here. Oh, I realized Ryan is gone. I can crank up the AC. So I did that. But then I found this t-shirt. And then I remembered, so this is my Tears for Fears t-shirt. And I saw them in concert 2 years ago this month. And it was the best $400 I ever spent. I tell you that. It was a really good concert. So I'm rocking that today. So if you like Tears for Fears, tell me in the comments who's your favorite, Kurt or Roland. I go back and forth. I love Kurt, especially since he guest starred 3 times on this TV show that I really love. But then I hear Rivers for Mercy, and I'm like, or Rivers of Mercy, excuse me, and I think that Roland is the best. So, you know, I go back and forth. Anyway, that was some rambling. But I just wanted to say thank you guys for your patience with me. It has been a while since I've recorded. Today is Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. I am Audrey Marine. You can find me on Instagram at StitchStitchBead. And I haven't recorded for a month, I realized, because I released a proper Flosstube on May 12th. Last week, I put out a Flosstube extra, which was only about 14 minutes, and it was just giving you guys a peek into my stash and how I organize some things in here. And that was really great from my perspective because, seriously, I recorded it. It was about 14 minutes long. I did a little bit of editing, slapped this, you know, put a title on the front, and kind of messed around with doing some other things and ultimately decided not to do that. So I just threw it up on YouTube. The whole process took me less than an hour. It was great. But I realized in my recording, I showed you guys everything here in my Stitchy room, as Ryan affectionately calls the Floss Palace. And that's why I called that Flosstube Extra, a look at the Floss Palace. But I didn't go through and say, I purchased this item from this place, and I purchased this item from this place, and this brand is this, and this is this tool. And so if you guys did have any questions, any further questions, if you haven't already gone to look at that video, go ahead and check it out if that's something you're interested in. I showed you how I stored my linen, and that was probably the most exciting thing for most people who viewed that. I ironed, tagged, and put on pant hangers all of my linen and have them hanging here in a closet. So it's very easy for me at a glance to see what I have, and I don't have to go digging through a box. And then also Karen Lynch, hi Karen, she had talked about how she had purchased a piece of fabric a while back and it had been folded for however long, she doesn't know, and she realized that on the creases some of the coloring had gone. So when she opened it up, she had like white window panes on her piece of linen. So she says now, as soon as she gets a piece of linen, she irons it and rolls it and puts it in a box. And that's another good way I think you guys could consider to store your fabric. It's just, I have a closet, I have the space, this hanging space, and I figured that was a good way to utilize that to hang my linen. So as I say, if you're interested, you can go back and check that out. One question I did have in that video, someone asked again about these art bins. Well, they said, what are the bins? What are the cases for your spools? These are from Art Bin, ARTBIN. You can find them at craft stores or on Amazon. Just search that and you'll find, maybe in the photos it shows it holding Gutermann spools, something like that. It does hold little spools and fatter ones. You just would have to skip. You see there are pegs in here. So if you put fatter spools in here with more thread on them, you may have to skip a peg, if that makes sense. And then on my last Flosstube video, I noticed I had a question from someone that appeared in my notifications, but then when I clicked on it or tried to find it through the comment section in YouTube Studio, it disappeared. And I believe her name was Katinka. And Katinka, you had a question about what are these 100 threes that you're talking about? This is what I'm talking about. This is what, when you hear people talk about 100 threes, this is what they're talking about. It's from a company called Au Ver à Soie, distributed by Access Commodities. It's AUVERASOIE. And we say 103. It's actually 100.3 or 100/3. And they come in hundreds of colors. So this is what I and other floss tubers are talking about when they talk about 100 threes. Au Ver à Soie also makes Soie d'Alger, which is a stranded silk, and they make others like Soie de Paris and Soie Gobelin. Did you hear the cat? There's a cat outside the door. That's Marlo. She drives me bonkers. That is her lot in life. It's not a lot, but it's her life. I got that from Phyllis Diller. Okay, so I have not talked to you guys in a month. I've got some things to share. Actually, right here before I forget, I've got a table full of stuff, but let me show you one special thing I got recently. Is it taking the whole screen? Look how big it is. It's so big. It's a berry bag. So Barry, hi Barry. Recently, Paisley Stitcher Grace put out 2 excellent Floss Tuber for a Day videos. The first one came out just a few days ago. I mean, she's been doing this with other people, but recently she put up bam, bam, like 2 in a row. One was with Kathy Decker, and I have watched that twice. Kathy is funny and has so much to show. I watched that video twice, just like drooling over all the stuff that she's been able to finish. She says she's been stitching for decades, right? But she also does quilting and wool applique, and my mind was just blown. And that was a really great video. And then the next day she put out a video, Grace put out another video, this time with Barry of Stitchfolk. And Barry was kind of talking about how she got into stitching just a few years ago. And then she also talked a little bit about her process for making these bags. So if you hear about Stitchfolk bags, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen this sort of thing. When people say a Barry bag or a Stitchfolk bag, this is what they're talking about. Barry had me laughing multiple times. It was a great video. I watched that one twice as well. And so Barry had recently had a few styles of bags in very limited quantities put up on her website. And I was talking to my mom and just kind of mentioned it. I was like, oh, you know, Barry's got bags coming up for grabs on Sunday. I gotta make sure I can get on there, see if I can get something. I didn't. I went on and it was like available at 6 o'clock. And so at 5:58, I was on the website and then I refreshed it. And I was like, oh, look at there are like 4 styles available, I think. And I clicked on the one that I wanted most and it was already gone. And it had just like flipped over to 6:01. And I was like, what happened? And at that point, I was so flustered. I was like, other people can have them. It's fine. I think I probably could have grabbed a different style. Maybe there were 1 or 2 others that were still available. But honestly, I remembered what it was like before I had a berry bag and how I was like, oh man, I want one. And so I thought, hopefully some of the people who are buying them this round, this is their first one and they're really excited and they're so happy to get it, and when it shows up, won't it be a magical mail day? But anyway, I mentioned this to my mom that I was gonna try to get one, and she like wanders off. I was visiting her, I should say that. She wanders off, comes back, and she's like, okay, well don't buy this one because I already bought it. It's like, this wasn't available, but I'll take it anyway. This design here it's a digital rendering of a lot of the motifs from Charlotte Warrington. This pattern from Needlework Press, it is a reproduction sampler, so it looks a little different than this. If you are in the Homespun Needlework Samplers and Cross Stitch group on Facebook, you will have heard all about it. And you may see people posting about it. Olive Green is running the stitch along. It is a 2-year stitch along, because the thing is so darn big. But I have seen people already like almost reaching the end because it was available a couple months ago. I didn't get that chart. I I really like the chart, but when you're buying, you have to buy a kit in this group, and I didn't want, I would have easily spent, you know, $30 some on a chart, but I just couldn't commit to buying, it was DMC or Weeks or NPIs. Well, the set of NPIs made the whole kit over $300. And I thought, well, the DMC is the cheapest option, but what am I going to do with all these DMCs? I won't necessarily use them for this chart whenever the heck I get around to stitching it. And then I thought, well, the Weeks dye works or the overdyed cottons would be a good option, because I think I would use those colors in other projects, even if I don't want to ultimately use them in this. But I just thought, I can't buy a kit. I'm not gonna jump in on that one. So it's, in a way, it's a bummer, because the Charlotte Warrington, it was so popular, then that exclusive closed, and then they reopened it to purchase, to have another opportunity to purchase it if you wanted to. I decided both times not to purchase it, and it does seem like it will not be released to John Q. Public, as Laura says, but that's okay. It is similar in style and motifs to Oh Sweet Humility by Cross Stitch Antiques, and I really love that piece. Katie Strachan is stitching it. Go watch her latest Flosstube, and I will get around to that for other reasons, but she's stitching it. I've seen other people who have finished it. You know, you see pictures on Instagram. It is a beautiful chart, so that's on my wish list. I don't have that chart, but I would like to get it. I would like to stitch it, and it looks, it has a similar house. This house is so cool. That's the thing that attracted me to this chart, but ultimately, like I said, I just couldn't jump in on that kit. But Oh Sweet Humility by Cross Stitch Antiques has a similar looking goofy red house, has a bunch of animals down at the bottom, and lots of grass, and an interesting floral border with a lot of other motifs thrown in. But Katie Strachan is making her own, you know, she's customizing it, she's making changes so that it fits her, and I'm interested to see how it looks when it's finished, because it looks really nice as it is now. She's got, I think, quite a bit of the border done. She's got the outline done and some of the flowers, and then she has been working on the grass, animals, house, and that stuff. Okay, so let's get to, I have notes again today. Good job. I learned that I need to have notes. First thing on my notes here is actually talking about Katie's latest Flosstube. So I'll just go back to that. It is Ornamentations episode number 73. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because in the episode before that, she had kind of posed a question to her viewers. And then in this latest episode, she was reading some of the responses to that question. And basically it was about what people may wish for their needlework after they're dead and gone. And I'm watching this episode. It must have been, yeah, Ryan was out for a bit. He comes home and he's like, oh, well, you know, how was your, he went out, he has piano lessons on Tuesday, so I bet that's what it was. He comes home and I said, oh, you know, I've been fine. And then I just launched into this thing about how I was watching Katie Strachan's latest video, and she's reading these comments from these people, and I'm sitting here crying into my tuna fish sandwich thinking about what's going to happen to my needlework when I'm dead and gone. And she's like, oh. And I could tell he's like, how do I get out of this conversation? But it was a really interesting and touching video. You know, she's talking about this, so if you're interested in that, please go back and maybe read the comments as well. But I thought, if just Katie reading some of these things is like, you know, affecting me, I can't go back and read all those comments. Also, at the end of her last video in episode 73, she does an unboxing of the Elizabethan Valentine kit, and it is a spectacular piece that she has made, and the kit includes everything you need to make this same piece that she has. It is a little heart, and it's about yay big. I did get to see it at Sampler Symposium. I'll insert a picture here. And you'll see next to it in the photo is her pin pillow. That is not, materials for that, instructions for that are not included in the kit. What you need to focus on is the little heart alongside it. That's what this kit is for. So I saw that she had open registration for that class, and kits are now available. She has not sold out. It is still available. I have not ordered mine yet because I'm waiting for money from Grandma. So it's not just like a $20 chart. It is a full kit, and it comes with everything you need to make this amazingly precious piece. And also included is real silver thread, which is awesome. She says in the video that if you've never used it, don't be deterred because it is actually easier to use than synthetic metal threads. So, I wonder if it's going to be easier to use than Kreinik. So, don't know. I don't know, but she shows you exactly what you get in the box. And I think the first class will be available online in September, and it's just sort of work at your own pace sort of thing. But that's something I really want to get that. But when I say I'm waiting for money from Grandma, so Ryan's 95-year-old grandma lives here in Indianapolis. She is blind though, and she doesn't do any of her own cooking. So I do a lot of her cooking, and she pays me for my time, right? She gives me money for the groceries that go into it, and then she pays me for my time. And I take that and I use it for my, my wham and my spending money and stuff. So I was really excited when Katie came out with this thing, and I was like, not quite there yet. So I will jump to finishes now. I have a few finishes to show you, but they're all really small. I've been working on larger pieces since I talked to you guys. Well, I've actually just really worked on the one large piece since I talked to you guys last. And so the finishes that I have, they're new, but they're very small. So let me show you what I have. Last time I showed you a couple Mill Hill finishes that I had completed, and here is another one. This is Ice Cream Sundae. This kit just came out this year or last year, and the kits are about $9 or $10, and it comes with everything you need: the perforated paper, the DMC floss, and the beads. And then oftentimes there'll be like a little treasure or charm or something included, and for this one it's this little heart. So I did this in a few days, and it also comes with a magnet. It also comes with needles. You quite literally get everything you need to complete this project except for the glue. And I prefer to put some scrapbook paper on the back of these just to stiffen it a bit, but I don't really care how it looks so much. You see that like not quite all of it is covered, whatever. Because once I stick it on the fridge, it doesn't come off. And these magnets are really strong, the ones that they come with. I just use a giant glob of glue, stick it on there, and it's good to go. I use some acid-free craft glue. Yes. I must have gotten this at Michael's or something. It works really well. Acid-free, waterproof, crystal clear, instant grab, fast dry glue. I use a giant glob though, like I said, so it's not super fast, but it is super secure when it is dry. I would recommend it. Okay, and then last month I went to Always in Stitches for a Stitchy Day. A few times a month they'll have one of their rooms available for people to come. You have to register online just because there's a limited amount of room, and you can go and just sit and stitch and chit chat and whatever. So I went there last month. I also went earlier this month, just last weekend, and then I'm gonna go again next week. So in about a week and a half. So if you are going, say hi. But when I'm there, I don't just sit in my chair and stitch for all 4 or 5, whatever hours it is. I will get up and wander around the store, and then I'll go next door and get something to drink or whatever it may be. But when I was there last month, I found this in the clearance bin. This is a Shepherd's Bush, Thoughts of Home. It comes with just the pattern and the little button that you're supposed to put on it. I stitched this on 40 count, however, instead of the called for 32. So the button, the included button, wasn't quite the right size. But I did get the called for colors and just used a piece of toasted mallow that I had. I had like a scrap, and it worked pretty perfectly. And this is my little finish. I did, when I was there, I also bought a button pack from just another button company. There was a bee and the sheep, and then, let's see, it looks like a bird, a leaf, and a flower. There may have been something else in there as well. But just a cute little thing. This did take several hours because there's a lot of stitching in that grass, right? A little bit of back stitching, which wasn't so bad. It was nice actually to stitch the flowers and the leaves and the grass and stuff. And then once you add the back stitching, it's like, oh, it's like a whole flower, and it really came together. It was nice. At the bottom, you'll notice it says family, love, joy. On the pattern, it says family, safe, love, joy. And I read that and I was like, something seems odd. And I realized everything else is a noun, but safe is an adjective, unless we're talking about safe the noun. Anyway, it just seemed odd. So I pulled safe out of there and I just sort of scooted the other things together in the middle. Yeah. But tiny little thing. You can see, I mean, it is so little. I can cover it with the palm of my hand, but so cute. So do I finish this into a tiny, do I outsource and have this finished into a tiny little pillow and maybe make it into an ornament? It's about the same size. This is 32 count. So imagine how tiny this design would be on 40 count. Holy cow. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I realized I forgot something. I gotta go grab it. In a bit. I'll go grab it when I get to progress because it's not a finish. Okay, also not in the clearance bin, unfortunately, but they had travel trifles. Very cute. I was kind of, I don't know, but I saw this one, and this was the one that really grabbed my attention because it reminded me of a place that Ryan and I had recently visited on our trip to France. We stayed in Cagnes-sur-Mer, which is Renoir's last place of residence, and his property is now a museum. His like home and studio, workshop, whatever, is a museum, and you can kind of wander around the grounds. And so hilly for one thing, very, very hilly. Lots of wildflowers. There's a very small orange grove in front of the house, but also there are these creepy Italian trees and lots of olive trees. I love olive trees. And the house looks a lot like this. I did make just a few changes, and I'll insert a photo here so you guys, if you are not following me on Instagram, you can see what I'm talking about. You can see the house, and I'll show you how I changed it to make it look more like Renoir's house. I flattened the roof because, you know, it has those clay tiles. And then instead of red shutters, I made them white, as it is on his house. And there are actually purple flowers, little purple wildflowers in front of the house, but right in front of the house is where the orange grove was, but I didn't think about that until it was too late. So, but then I decided to take out the sheep. Shepherd's bush, they put a sheep on everything, which is adorable, but not really necessary here. So I took out the sheep, and then here I added 2024 in a very, painterly style, I guess you would say. As much as you can make it look that way with thread. And then I stitched Renoir in sort of the same way he signed his name. And I will try to remember to insert a photo here or an image here of his signature so you can get an idea. It is hard to show you. I'm just using my iPhone. It's not a high quality camera or anything. I used mostly the called for colors. I did sort of switch up the trees here. I used 3 different greens instead of just the 2 that were called for. I added clouds up here. But I like how this turned out. But again, so tiny. So tiny. That was, however, the second one from Travel Trifles that I completed, because the first one that I did I still had another scrap of toasted mallow. This fabric is from number 12 Stitch Co. It's 40 count. And I thought, well, let me just go ahead and use this for this top one. It says La joie du voyage. La joie du voyage. Let me get my articles correct. But I made a couple changes here. I changed it to Paris je t'aime, which just means Paris, I love you. And then instead of the little cap and scarf that was on the sheep, I put a beret on the sheep because I thought, I don't recall seeing a lot of sheep in Paris. So I imagine this little guy is off in Provence, but perhaps he is dreaming of Paris. And then I put the year 2019 because that is the year that Ryan and I went to Paris. That was my first visit to France. And then last year we flew into Charles de Gaulle again, but you know, we got in a car and went straight to Le Mans. And then this year we flew to Nice, so we completely bypassed Paris. I would like to go to Paris again. We only got a few days there and it's not enough. It's not enough. If you like museums and you like to eat, 2 or 3 days in Paris is not enough. And that's all we do when we go overseas is we go to museums and we eat. We're actually taking the kids to London next month, because Ryan has a gig in London. And so we're just, you know, he's already paid for to get over there. So, well, it's slightly less expensive to pay for 3 people than it is to pay for 4 people. So we'll do it now. And Rupert wants to go to Stonehenge and he wants to go to a train station to look at steam trains. And I think there are a few other things like cultural things that he wants to do. We asked Morris what he wants to do. I want to eat. He's 10. Priorities, right? He's such a good eater though. I mean, they both are. They both will try anything. And so I'm excited for them just to get to experience something new, something not Midwest, you know. We'll have a good time. Okay, so those are those few shepherd's bush finishes that I had. And I got so excited about these shepherd's bush things that I was looking at all the different patterns that they offer. But I thought I didn't want to, you know, go too crazy. I don't want to order tons of things and then eventually never get around to them, right? And they're just sitting in a drawer. I have some things. But I did find something that I thought was super cute. Turns out it was out of print, a kit from 8 or 10 years ago or something, and I found one on eBay. It's a round finish, and I thought, oh, that would be great. It's, I think, of course, supposed to be on like 32 or 36, but I would like to stitch it on a 40, and then I think it'll work out to finish on like a 6-inch shaker box. So I got to get a shaker with the recessed lid. You know, I want the LaHaye with the recessed lid, so I need to put in a request for that. But first I want to wait for the kit to come to do the measurements to figure out if this is really going to be the right size for that. In my video last week, I talked about my Flosstube Extra, where I kind of showed you what I had going on in the closet. I pulled out the one Anjou pair that I had completed. It's this one. And then I showed you that I have these other charts as well. And go check out Brenda Sampler Stitcher's Instagram, because she posted photos of her recent fully finished items that she got back from her finisher, and among them were some pears, and they look really cute. She did one of the alphabet ones, and then I don't actually remember what else she did. I think she might have done this one. She said she's done 2 blue ones and 2 red ones. But obviously you don't necessarily have to, you don't have to use red for these ones. You don't have to use orange for these ones, whatever it may be. But I did go ahead and find a fall color for this. I chose 40 count light hazelnut for my base fabric. Something really warm. This is from xJuDesign. By the way, her fabrics smell so good. I don't know what she does to them. But this is my finish here. I used an over-dyed 103 from Thread Nuts. And I used Georgia. So go to threadnuts.com and you can find, they have over-dyed 103s, over-dyed soie d'Alger, silk ribbon, different kinds of trimmings, ribbons in different widths and things like that. I wanted everything, but I just ordered, I think I only ordered 8 or 9 of these just because they were a little pricey. Not pricey per inch or per meter or however you want to quantify it, but just as a spool, they were $18. So you're getting a crap ton of silk here for $18. But when you're looking at buying multiple spools, it's like, you know. So maybe add to that collection more slowly than I add to my collection of other things. Okay, that's it for my finishes, right? Let me look at my notes. Yep, that's it. Okay, and as I say, they were all small, but it's nice to finish something. And my pair took just a couple days. Maybe I could have completed one in one full day if I just did maybe the ones with just the lettering. I think that would go really quickly. This one with the organic design, I really had to pay attention to where I was going. But I think this one would go really quickly. So I'll get back to those. I have other thread nets that I would like to use. A green that I have in mind, and then like a pinky burgundy that I would like to use. So rather than the blue. I actually didn't buy any blue from thread nets. But Brenda did use Picasso, I think is the color that she used for the blue pair. At least one of the blue pairs that she did. She used Picasso from thread nets. And it looks really nice. It's like a kind of a grayish blue. Yeah. Okay, so progress on things. I am going to run out and grab the thing I forgot. I'll be right back. Okay, the thing I forgot. Let's just show this to you now while I have it. This is Samplers by the Scarlett House. I mentioned this on my previous Flosstube video, and I have actually gotten quite a bit of progress made on it since I spoke to you last. This is on a home tea-dyed linen. It was a color from number 12 Stitch Co, and it's no longer that color. Yeah. I'm using mostly the called for colors. However, it calls for Ruby Slipper and Pomegranate. And my Ruby Slipper and Pomegranate, and I may have mentioned this last time, are very similar when stitched. You can see a distinction here, but you see that it's almost the same brightness and depth. There's not a lot of contrast. So I'm not getting the contrast. I'm not getting a difference in colors. You see there's a red here and a pink. On mine, they look like the same color. So I decided I'm not going to pick either one of these out, but moving forward, you know, it was supposed to be these two colors in here, and I thought, well, there's going to be no difference. I might as well just stitch all the same color if I'm going to do that. So I did use this color for the darker section, and then I pulled in the same bag. I have the supplies for A Shepherd's Song from Plum Street Sampler, and I used Tennessee Red Clay because that was giving me contrast. See, a big difference. So use Tennessee Red Clay. And then for this carnation here, this was also supposed to be a lighter pink, but I opted to pick a really light pink. I chose also from this bundle, I chose Conch because I've seen carnations that color. I like that. I just wanted some interest here rather than all the same sort of bland burgundy red. I still have the house to do. I've got a couple letters to finish, the border, and then down here, this band is supposed to go all the way to the end, except for there's like a plant, just like one little small flower or tree or whatever you want to call it. But I got really tired of stitching this band. I don't know what it is, but I didn't really care for it. I got into it and I was like, you know what? I really like it. So we're going to end it here. I have some leaves to add to it, but then if I stopped here, I had enough room still to put in this motif as it's charted, but then I have enough room in here to stitch my name. So I thought that's what I would do. Because I thought, I bought this chart with the idea of having it finished into a drum like Brenda's is. I like hers, I like the drum, but I think actually now I would like it to just be made into a needle roll. And I'm going to show you what I'm thinking for that. So, you know, imagine that it's trimmed and finished like this, and there's some wool on the other side. So wool for your needles and stuff to stick into. But I thought if you like tri-fold it, let's see, it would end up kind of like this, and you would see my name, Audrey Marine. And then if you end it here, and there's wool on the inside here, but maybe put ribbons here, then I could tie it around. And how cute would that be? And then when you open it up, you get to see the whole thing. But when it's closed, you would see my name. So that's what I'm thinking. I do believe that that is something I could manage. I think I could trim it and fold these down, back stitch a border, and then whip stitch that back stitched border to a properly cut piece of wool on the inside, and maybe just use a piece of like green or beige wool or something like that. So what do you guys think? Yeah, I guess I don't know what it is, but it seems a little, this piece seems a little rough to me. So I feel like it should be used for something utilitarian maybe. I don't know, but that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting from it. Okay, but significant progress on that. I think if I had pushed through the last couple days, I could have finished it. I did. I took, when I went to the Stitchy Day on Saturday, I took this project bag with me that had a shepherd song in it, and I was like, I'll just work on that because I haven't touched it in a while, and I should get some stitches into it. But when I opened the bag, I found that, and I was like, oh, this is already like halfway through, and it's a small. Let's just work on this. So I got quite a bit done on that, and then worked on it again on Sunday, I believe, and got plenty of stitches put into it. So now it looks like it's almost finished. I could get there. Also, let me go to my pile of progress here. Pile of progress. What is that ride at Disney World? Carousel of Progress. Oh my gosh. When Ryan and I went to Disney World together for the first time back in, Chris, when did he get married? A friend of ours lives in Orlando and got married, and we were like, let's go to Disney World too. Anyway, Ryan and I, neither of us had been there in over a decade, and we had never been together. So we did everything. We did everything, except we did not go to Animal Kingdom, but we did the other 3 parks, and we did everything in those parks. But Carousel of Progress, when we took the kids back, we were talking just the 2 of us about what we would want to do with the kids, because it was going to be their first time. And we both decided we didn't need to do Carousel of Progress. We didn't need to do that. And I thought we didn't need to do the Star Wars stuff, but we did it. Never again. 2 hours for a really mediocre ride, I will say. It's everything in Star Wars land. Okay. I'm not a Star Wars fan, and that's where Laura and I don't agree. But we both like IndyCar, and we both like cross stitch. Okay. This is Louise Piret. This is by Hands Across the Sea, and if you'll notice, it has 12 rows of lettering and 1 simple border. So this was the ideal chart to break into 12 parts to stitch from January to December. And I did January, February, March, April on time, but I completely neglected this piece in May and only am just now starting the May row, which is this vine, a few letters and more vine. And then I'll need to get into June as well. I know that my friend Vashti is stitching this with me, and a few others have joined in. You can use the hashtag Marie Louise Piret, SAL on Instagram, and you can tag me to make sure I see your progress if you like. And I thought about it. I thought there were some people, you know, just a couple months ago who were chiming in. I was like, oh, I'm late to join, but I'm going to jump in. I would say it doesn't matter if you didn't start with me in January. Just start whatever month we're in, whenever you're seeing this. If you want to join in on this, start with the top row in whatever month you're in, and then next month do the next row, and so on and so forth. And then within 12 months, whenever you start during the year, you will have this completed. Because I would love to have Marie Louise completed by the end of the year, and I believe that I will. Vashti told me, you know, because I was talking about, it was like the middle of last month, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the row for Marie. And she was like, you know, it's no big deal. Don't stress about it. And she was totally right, because this vine and these 2 letters, which is quite literally half of that row, I did all of that yesterday. And it wasn't the only thing that I worked on. And I had other crap going on yesterday. So I did this in one day, which means I can do the rest of it in another day. And then I just have to get through some border. Now, I love Marie Louise, but I hate stitching this border. It is so boring. It is so boring. It looks nice. It really ties everything together with the red and the green. It's a nice little organic leaf design. Let me just show you a little bit of the chart close up. Okay, this is basically what it is. You know, it's super simple. It's easy to stitch, but it's really boring. It's like what Elaine says, he's a perfectly nice guy, but I hate his guts. It's a really pretty border, but I hate stitching it. When it's all done, it will be lovely. I really enjoyed stitching Hannah Campbell's border. Lots of color changes, lots of interest, weird different motifs from section to section. That was way more fun than this. But these letters, I'm gonna miss these golden letters. What is, oh, it's a string. I love these letters. I wanna use, ooh, okay, I had an idea. Okay, never mind. But I really love these letters. I think they're so pretty. So pretty, yeah. So I'm gonna miss them, because once I get into the June row, it's this really boring stuff here. But then we've got some leaves, and then I get more fun letters down here again, but they're monochromatic. This, you know, these letters have 2 colors. This is just the one. And then at the bottom, the very last row is numbers 1 through 9 plus 0, and then her name and the year. And I'll have to figure out where to stick my little signature. You guys, you gotta go back and watch Paisley Stitcher's videos, because Barry was talking about making her own mark, and just watch it. It was so funny what she said. I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard that I had to stop the video and rewind, because I couldn't hear what they said. Okay, progress. Another stitch along. This is co-hosted by me and Kim. Hi, Kim, Contented Needleworker Kim. Here on Flosstube and on Instagram. This is Emeline Hotchkiss from Cross Stitch Antiques. This is a Canadian sampler. This is the antique. I am using the called for 103s. Again, the spooled. These are the colors. So this hot pink in here, this is 107. And then there's this really weird olive green here, that's 616. Just awesome colors. And I love how it's coming together. I'm using the spooled silk, but the options here are DMC, NPI, 103s, and overdyed cottons, Gentle Art, and Classic Colorworks. 6 Gentle Art and 2 Classic Colorworks, if you want to go that way. But Kim is just pulling her own colors, whatever she has in stash. She says that she's trying to make it look like the front cover here. So I don't know if Kathleen Littleton of Cross Stitch Antiques matched colors to the back, although these colors up front here still seem pretty vibrant. I don't know. I didn't have a ton completed when I spoke to you guys last, and I don't have, you know, an enormous amount done, but I did make a little bit of progress. This is 46 count serial starter from number 12 Stitch Co. It's like a murky brownish pink last time I showed you guys, I had this bit up here done, and the border probably to about here, and then I had this lemon tree done. But I didn't have these motifs with this weird little dog, and I didn't have this basket done. The basket was fun. It's cute, colorful. Looks like a lot of yummy fruit. And then these flowers here, I like those. This dog though, he's so silly. And I like this tulip here. After I had done my last video, I got back into this. I picked this up for a couple days, and I was stitching this basket, this vase, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, ugh, it's god awful. It's like yellow and brown, ugh. But then as soon as I finished this flower, because I had a little bit of this pink here, but I finished this flower, did the other pink here, did these light pink flowers here, and I was like, oh, actually, it all is tying together very nicely. So I think Emeline knew what she was doing. You just gotta have faith. And the border, this color, I love it. Can't be mad at that border. So join anytime, hashtag stitching Emeline is the hashtag that Kim came up with for us to use on Instagram. You can tag her and me to share your progress so we can see it. Hashtags aren't always, they used to work better, not so much anymore. So if you really want us to see it, see your progress and see that you joined us on our sale, please go ahead and tag us. And I mean to reach out to whoever is running the Cross Stitch Salander account on Instagram, because I don't think that's on there, and it should be, so people can see. And maybe join in if they want to. Okay. Put that there. I put a little bit of, made a little bit of progress on this. I remember I was out in public, this was a few weeks ago, I was out in public and I was working on this. I was waiting for something, but I was working on this because easy, it's one color, and just black stitch after black stitch. And I was listening to Carrie and Caroline of Evertote and Roxy Floss Co. And boy, they had me rolling. And I am not a quiet laugher, apparently. And I may have gotten some looks, but whatever, I was having a good time. So here is where I am on this. Just about finished this motif. I need to add a diamond here. Finished this motif, got started on another. This is where the big swan is. These blank spaces in between are to be filled with letters, but I decided, this says MA, and I switched it to AM for Audrey Marine, but I also decided that these letters here that are strewn about, probably significant to M. Satterthwaite, I will change and I will put my own name here. I think it's okay that I do that for this one. But I'll be sure after I have it framed, I will include information for posterity, what the chart is. But this one, I kind of like the idea of just putting letters that look random but are significant to me, you know, friends or family or whatever. This is a great chart. You can pick, you can do it in any color you want as long as it's black. No, really, you can do it in any color. But seriously, just pick a black that you like. It can be variegated or solid or whatever. I am using SWA 103 in Noir, which just means black. And I have a lot of that, so I figured let's just use that. And then you'll see these flowers here are cream colored, and so for those I will use creme. Easy enough. But this is by Shakespeare's Peddler. You can get it at kittenstitcher.com or maybe your LNS, or online at a bunch of different places. This is 46 count brown paper by xJuDesign. Got a big old piece. The fabric is serged. You'll notice I often have pieces that, like pieces of linen that are much bigger than what I really need for the piece that I'm stitching. But if the fabric is serged, I won't cut it until I'm done, just to put off the fraying process. Okay. I neglected Marie Louise and another 12-month-long thing. You guys may remember, if you've been watching my videos, remember Des Fleurs Toute l'année by Reflet de Soie, which has the 12 floral baskets or bouquets on it, and it has a poem throughout with the different months of the year on it. That's something that I'm doing for myself. It's not necessarily a sale. If you like it, you can join in. I will try to remember to insert a photo here so you can see what I'm talking about. But when I say that I neglected Marie Louise and some other pieces that perhaps should have gotten attention in favor of Maria Ewan, you will see why. I don't know what it is about this chart. I loved it when I saw the chart. I'm happy that I got it. Thank you, Mom. But looking at it, the colors are honestly a bit dull compared to some other things that I've stitched, some other things that I've seen stitched by other stitchers. But I got into this and just fell in love with her and could not keep away from her. Even when we had friends in town, I was like, I'm cross stitching when they're here. I can't. I didn't come in here. They were staying in here, but I had all my cross stitch stuff on the dining room table, and any moment that I had, I would go in and put some stitches into her. Now I will insert a photo here of approximately what I had completed when I talked to you guys a month ago, and then you can compare it to what I have now. I would say I am about halfway done. Maybe not quite. Maybe not quite. There is a lot of stitching that still needs to go into the grass area there. This is a vase or some kind of urn with a big flower bouquet in it. Of course, that has a lot of stitching. And then I am still missing one color because I have yet to order it because I don't want to order one spool. So I'm like, what else do I need? So you'll see that this is missing stitches. This flower here is missing stitches. It's 303. I just need 303. But I did get the Swastirfine in 2523 to start the verse here. And I love stitching these tiny letters. I don't know what it is, but it was so satisfying. Slow going. They're tiny. Gotta make sure you're stitching backwards when you need to stitch backwards. Getting it all right, but I will show you. I carried. Anyway. So there's the front there. And then, you know, I thought, should I stop? I'm not stopping for each letter, Katie Strachan, but should I stop for each word? No. Ultimately, I decided, you know, you think it's horrible to go from one word to another, but honestly, in normal size stitches, it's really not that big of a jump. It's like 2, maybe 3 stitches over. And the Swastirfine is so thin, I don't think it's going to cause a major problem on the front. And you know, all these antiques that we look at that are so beautiful and we admire them so, you can see they carried stitches. Their backs are messes. So I thought that I could do it too. It would save me a headache. And it helped make this process here so enjoyable. I mean, I texted Laura, it was like last week sometime. I mean, I was really having to tear myself away from this project. And she's like, well, what made you, why did you do it then? I was like, well, I've been neglecting some other pieces and I feel like I should, but ultimately for quite a while there, I mean, through the month of May, I was like, I love this. And this is where I want to put my time and attention. So, let me show you. This will be the finished. This is Maria Ewan, 1820. This is the 2023 Queen of the Bay from Hands Across the Sea. Nicola Parkman released the 2024 Queen of the May last month, obviously. And I got a call from the attic yesterday that they're shipping my stuff. I'm so excited. So pretty soon I will get my Dorcas Haynes kit. Very excited about that. I ordered that back in April. But they were waiting on threads. I talked to Mary, who who has, I believe it's Mary. I'm very sure that her name is Mary. The nicest voice. She's just so calming. She could like tell you that your house is on fire and you'd be like, okay, Mary. She's so nice. But she called, I talked to her yesterday and she's like, you know, we've been waiting on one color for you and however many other people. She's like, apparently everyone in the world wants 502, so no one can get it. She said, so we're just gonna ship what we have. And I was like, oh, thank you, because I was kind of wondering. And she said that I could have called whenever I liked to ask. I could have told them to ship everything that they had so far. And I was like, well, you know, it's not like I don't have other stuff. I have other things to ship, or other things to stitch. And speaking of other things to stitch, I am expecting those 2 things from the attic, 2 new charts, threads for those charts, and then I purchased a piece of fabric for Dorcas. I got Spindrift from Cedar River, is that right? Yeah. I haven't seen it in person, but my understanding is that it's kind of a pinky white, very light, soft, warm white, and I think it'll work well for Dorcas. It's supposed to be for Dorcas. So we'll see when we get here. But I also placed an order with Evertote. Yay! And they had a very recent release, a new reproduction chart from Maximum Cross Stitch, and it's beautiful. Scottish sampler. I think the name is Robertson or Roberson, something like that. Ultimately, I did not get that chart and the floss pack. I really would like to have it. It's attractive to me because it's Scottish sampler, so it has all the things. It's kind of on the smaller side, and then it has a few specialty stitches. It has some eyelets and some satin stitch along with all the cross stitch and just a little bit of over one. And the over one motifs, if you don't want to do those, you can just leave them off. It's like just a couple little animals and one little person. So if you don't want to do that, don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Like, try to get that on. But ultimately, I thought instead of ordering another chart and another floss pack, let's order floss packs for charts that I already have, because I would really like to try Roxy Floss Co. linen and floss. Laura gifted me a couple skeins of Roxy Floss back in October, I think, when I first met her, and I've yet to use them. She gave me a green and a red, and I haven't used them yet. She was like, these are for Prairie Schooler Santa. I don't have any Prairie Schooler Santa, but I'll incorporate them into some Christmas or other stitch at some point. But I did find that they had a Roxy Floss pack for this. This is by Shakespeare's Peddler, 2 Skinny Dogs, Martha Moulder, 1859. I really like this chart, but I was hemming and hawing about, I don't know why, but it takes Weeks Dye Works threads, which I like. But for some reason I was like, can I make my own conversion? Can I do this in something else? And I love Gloriana. I just love how they feel. They're like really spongy and bouncy, Gloriana silks, but they are expensive. So I thought, well, maybe I can make my own conversion to some other silk. And then I thought, well, but then you're not getting the variegation. So I don't know what it was, but when I saw that they had a floss pack, a Roxy Floss Co pack on Evertote.ca, you can visit their website, I got really excited. I was like, oh, that's one of, a perfect thing to try. And I think it's only 8 colors. Yeah, 8 colors. Greens, browns, pinks, a little bit of gold, tiny bit of navy blue. That's it. And if you already have a lot of Roxy Floss Co., they put on their website the colors that the Roxy Floss Co. floss colors that are needed for whatever chart it is that you're looking at. So if you already have some Roxy Floss in your stash, you can just add what you need in the shop. And then this is a market release. This is Catharaine Rees from 1897 Schoolhouse Samplers. I want to make sure I get that year right. 1897 Schoolhouse Samplers. This is a set of 2 small samplers, and Caroline and Carrie are stitching one each. So Carrie is stitching the one with the birdies, and Caroline is stitching this one with the floral motif here in the center. And I, of course, am going to stitch both of them. And I think it would be nice to finish them in similar coordinating frames, whatever, and have them hanging side by side. Wouldn't that be nice? But I got the Roxy Floss Co pack for this as well. And then I bought 5 pieces of linen because I couldn't decide. And then actually I probably would have bought a 6th, but in French hen, which is this really gorgeous sort of mocha brown color, they either didn't have the count that I wanted, or they had like too big of a size. Like I wasn't ordering, that's what it was. They had the count that I wanted, but the smallest cut they had was a fat half. I'm like, I'm not ordering a fat half of brown linen. And if you email Hannah at Evertote.ca, they'll cut whatever, they'll dye whatever, if you see a color that you like but you need it dyed in Ada or whatever, you can just send them an email and they'll get to it when they can get to it, and then you get whatever you've requested. That's what they say on their videos anyway. I think they're probably very easy to work with, but I just wanted to buy stuff that was in stock. So I got a few neutrals, and then I got something that's definitely not a neutral, and I'm very excited to try it. So when that stuff comes, and I got a shipping notice, it's in the mail, it's on the way to me, so hopefully I'll get it. I won't get it this week. I'm not gonna be that optimistic, but I'll get it next week, so I'll get to dig into that. Okay, I showed you progress, and I talked about what I am expecting to get in the mail, but I didn't show you what I had already gotten in the mail. Last month was May, right? And a lot of people were participating in Mira May, which means they were stitching a Mirabilia. Look who bought a Mirabilia! I did. I bought a Mirabilia. I don't think I'm going to start this imminently, but I love her dress, and I love beading. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I stitch all these little Mill Hill kits. I love seeing them on my refrigerator. My freezer door is so colorful, and I love it. You get the little bit of reflection off the beads. I love it. And even though Kreinik is a pain in the butt, it looks great when it's on things. So I went ahead and got this one, and I sent a message to Samantha, the Hugo stitcher, who stitches a lot of Nora Corbett and Mirabilia charts. And I told her, I was like, I bought a Mirabilia chart. I thought you should know because it's basically your fault. And so I ordered, I knew I was going to stitch it on 32 count. That is what's called for. You can stitch these on a smaller count fabric, but then the beads won't fit because the beads are a finite size. And maybe you could get, you can get petite beads, but I just don't think you're going to get the same effect. So, and I've also been watching Fibers and Floss Canada, Erica, who is friends with Samantha, the Hugo stitcher, and she has done all these videos talking about techniques and tips for stitching Mirabilias. One thing that she talked about was the different thread options that you have for attaching your beads, and I think I'm just going to use the DMC that I'm stitching the regular cross stitches with. I think that will work just fine, but she was talking about how there is a kind of stretchy, is it the nylon thread, which works really well, but I think she doesn't like it because it's too stretchy for her, sometimes she thinks. And she says, and you have to consider how you're going to finish your piece, because if it's going to be in a frame, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to be touched. But what if it's going to be made for like a cushion or a pillow? And I thought, that is a really interesting idea. I didn't even think about it because I bought this and I was like, how am I going to, because I spent a lot of time humming and hawing over this. I thought, am I really going to stitch this, and where am I going to put it? And it's not really our aesthetic, but it's just, the dress is just so pretty. But I thought, it's going to be a larger piece, and I thought, yeah, stitched area on a 32 count is about 14 inches by about 16 inches. So I thought, wouldn't that make it would make a really nice decorative, throw pillow. So another reason to just use the DMC to attach the beads. Not a pillow to sleep on, but just something decorative to go in, on the guest bed or something. How pretty would that be? And it does call for several beads, as I showed you, and it also calls for a cry neck, but this is not the cry neck that it calls for. It calls for like a burnt orange pumpkin cry neck. Didn't like it. So what I did was I looked at the chart, lots of blues and purples and pinks, and I went onto 123 Stitch and I just went through all the cry neck and I added every single pink to my cart and like some other lavenders and blues and whatever I thought would go. And then I went into my cart so I could see only those cry necks. And then, you know, process of elimination came up with number 92. This is number 4 cry neck color 092. I think it's called Starry Pink or something like that. Then we've got these apricot and gold beads and then some treasures up here as well. But the fabric that I got, all of this to say, I got some fabric from xJuDesign. It is a 32 count, and I actually, what I did was I took one of my corner gauges and measured out 2 inches, put a needle at the start, a needle at the 1 inch, and a needle at the 2 inch, and then I went through and counted the threads in between, as Nicola advises to count your fabric, make sure it is the thread count that you think it is, and on the dot, it was 32. So in 2 inches, I had 64 threads. So even though this is an over dyed, it appears not to have shrunk. So I think it'll work. This is matcha, actually, which matcha is like a lime green, but the green tea that you get from matcha is kind of this color. It's coming out yellow here. There we go. That looks a little greener. It is like a really faded acid green. And I have seen people use really mottled, crazy fabrics for Mirabilias, or just like the most vanilla thing. And I kind of wanted something in between. She's got a lot going on with her dress. We've got all these flowers and leaves and things. I didn't want some fabric that was going to overpower the design of the stitch, but I wanted a little bit of color. So I thought the green would be a nice backdrop, kind of allowing the plant here to blend in and for her to pop off. So I need to iron that, hang that fabric up, and then put this other stuff away. And while I ordered this fabric a while ago. I thought I was gonna get it before my last floss tube, but for some reason this order, she shipped it as quickly as she ships everything else, but it got held up in the Netherlands for quite a while, so it just didn't show up. Everything else I bought was 46 count from xJuDesign. This is Autumn Gold. This is much more sherbet orange than I was really expecting. I thought it was going to be a softer, more brown gold, and I thought I was going to use this for Hannah Green, the 2024 Queen of the May from Hands Across the Sea. But this is very yellow. But I did have an idea of what I considered putting some like funky Kathy Barrick or something on this. I thought that would be cool. But ultimately, I don't know. I like the color. It's just not what I was expecting. So this will not be used for Hannah Green. This could be used for Hannah Green though, because this is light hazelnut, which I actually was stitching. What else was I stitching on light hazelnut? I just showed this. Oh, the pear. Yeah, I bought more of it because that light hazelnut was 40 count that I stitched that Anjou pear on. This is 46 count, so this will be great for samplers. I love this color, light hazelnut. It's like the perfect, you know, old paper sampler color. I like it. Then I got beige gray. I think this could be comparable to Wood Smoke from Tabby Cat. I still haven't seen that fabric in person, but I think this would be a good substitute. It's like a smoky gray. Anyway, this is beige gray, also 46 count. Is that, there we go. That's the color. It's slightly darker than it's showing up on the camera. Yeah. Okay, and then Morning Coffee. This is a little bit more brown, a little darker than our light hazelnut, but still very pretty. I think this would be great for a sampler as well. This would work for the Alexanders of Linthrathen, which has tons of really bright colors. Maybe I already... Did I already decide that that's what I was going to put on this? Maybe I did. I was like, yeah, it's such a good idea. It's a really nice brown color. Okay. And then I got from Hobby House, as I mentioned, I ordered that Swatch-Your-Fiend spool that I needed and a couple other spools that I needed for Florence Mary Dickinson. But I also decided, so I wasn't just ordering 4 spools. I decided to get the wools for Jane Elizabeth Milner. This is on the back of Rose Ada Featherstone. I think Hobby House may now have sold out of Rose Ada Featherstone. So if you like this sampler, go ahead and check their website. If you can't find it, then maybe ask around and see if you can borrow it. I know a lot of people did purchase this. I got this last year sometime, and I thought, I don't really know if it's my jam. That lime green is really lime, but I like the motifs. I like the house, so maybe I could calm it down a bit. Yeah, because we've got like Pepto-Bismol pink angels over an acid green tree. Rose Ada, you were a bold woman. But on the back, Jane Elizabeth Milner, this is all done in wool. This is like a bonus chart. And I thought this would be a great chart for me to just try out wool. And so I got the Appleton wools. These were less than $3 for a little, this little skein here. And I think I need different needles. I think I need needles with a really big eye. But I do have some 32 count linen in my stash, not just that matcha there that I have, but I have some linen color, and I've got a couple other neutrals, something like a parchment or paper or something like that. I need to go through my 32 count. The 32 count I did not get around to ironing and hanging up because I thought, am I going to really need it anytime soon? No, let's just get the 40 plus up. So that's ultimately what I did. But I got all the colors that I need for this except I did not buy the brown that is needed for this little thing here. What is that? It's just 4 stitches. So I thought I don't need that, but I thought the reds, or red, pink, purples, greens, this, I thought if I enjoy it and I have something left of this, then maybe I can make, just stitch a motif from some other sampler, like stitch like this basket here or something, and, make a little pin pillow or something out of it. I don't know. Maybe I'll really enjoy working with wools. Maybe I'll say this is atrocious and I never want to do it again. Who knows? That's why you try things though, right? Okay, I think, let me show you this other thing that I got, which isn't a supply, isn't a charge or anything, but it's so cute. It's a bird. It's so cute. It's so cute. Do you want to know where I got it? I know you do. I got this from a woman on Etsy. Her shop is ParishFarmGirl. You can find her. She had some of these birds months ago and I missed out. I was like, oh my gosh, I love those so much. And so I have purchased something else from her. This little heart hanging here I have off of this knob is also from her. It's like heavily beaded and has some wild stitching on it and stuff. And I just really like it. But this little bird is from, it's pieced together from bits of old quilt and lace, and then she added buttons and this little flower here. Look at it, it's so cute. But she had some more of these little birdies for sale, and I thought, I don't need that, but I want it. It's so cute. And she had a few. She had like half a dozen or something, and I just picked my favorite. Got me so cute. So I tucked him in here, but I actually remember to pull him out. Okay, I want to check my notes real quick again before I sign off here. Yeah, a reminder. So for this chart, Catharaine Rees from 1897 Schoolhouse Samplers, when I mentioned Carrie and Caroline were stitching this together, they were stitching one each. They have a hashtag you can use on Instagram. It is hashtag "You will like this friendship, Sal." I think that's a joke about how it came up because apparently this was Hannah's idea, but then Caroline latched onto it and it was like, Carrie, we're going to do this. And Carrie's like, okay, I'm being voluntold to do this. And Caroline was like, you will stitch this sampler and you will like it. It was very funny. They had me cracking up that day. So if you want to go, I'm rambling. If you want to go ahead and join them on that sal, you can use that hashtag or not, whatever. But I will show you my Roxy Floss Co. flosses next time. Also, I am going to be starting Florence Mary Dickinson later this month with Sarah of Sarah's Stitchy Spot. She and her friend are hosting a sal. Hashtag 2 birthday girls, I believe is what it is. She and her friend both have June birthdays, so they're starting this together. This chart, also a Hobby House exclusive, Hands Across the Sea. They may or may not have some left. Go ahead and take a look. Otherwise, you might be able to find one on the secondary market or ask around. I bet your friend has one. Beautiful chart. I have the 56 count creme brulee, but I think one of the linens that I got from Roxy Floss Co is going to be perfect. I really hope so. I ordered, like I said, I ordered 5 different linens, and after I placed the order, I was, kind of looking around and thinking about what I've got coming up, and I looked at this and I was like, oh, I think that one fabric will be perfect. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure. But I do have all of the called for, look at these colors, all of the called for threads for Florence Mary. And I'm excited to stitch her. I know Brenda was lamenting the border and how tedious it was with all the color changes, but I'm excited because, as I say, I really like the border on Hannah Campbell, and I am loving the border on Maria Ewan. You will notice the top matches the bottom and the sides match each other. But other than that, each flower, each set of flowers, I should say, is a different, unique combination of colors. And I love that. I love that it's always changing. It's so interesting. And yet the shape of the flowers remains the same. So it's very easy. I know that this is 9 stitches, and then I go down 2 stitches, and then I go over 2 stitches. And it's very regular, yet the colors change so often. It's beautiful. I love it. So I will hopefully have quite a bit more progress on Maria and some other things to show you. And when I talk to you again next month, I will have at least one new start, but probably a couple. I'm realizing I don't want to have a ton of whips, but the things that I am stitching are so large, I'm not going to be able to finish very quickly. So if I want to switch around, if I want to jump around, I'm necessarily going to have however many whips it is. I don't know. But I want to thank everybody for all the great response that I had to that Flosstube Extra. Like I said, I think I could have done better with it. I could have given you more information as I went through things here in my room. But I'm really thankful for the comments, and just it seemed like people enjoyed that video. I know that I like to see other people's stitchy rooms and spaces and what do you got in there? But I think I would like to sprinkle in some short videos, some Flosstube extras in between, not in between every pair of Flosstube videos. Like it's not, I'm not going to do a Flosstube and then a Flosstube extra and then a Flosstube and keep going like that. But maybe a few times a year I'll have a shorter video thrown in just to remind people I exist. Hi guys, I'm still here. Because I remember when I was getting around to my first year anniversary here on Flosstube, I was talking about, well, how I wanted to change my schedule, and I really think recording on a monthly basis will work for me. Well, that sounded great and it felt great. I thought it would be great, but then I swear I got to the 3-week mark and I was like, oh my God, it's been so long since I've recorded. And I told myself, calm down. You can go way past 3 weeks and people aren't it's no big deal. So, but it was, I guess I felt the urge to record for you guys again, but I didn't want to be like, haha, changed my mind. I'm really back to a 3-week schedule. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But today, so as we've established, it is the 12th, right? It is the 12th. Next month, July, I think we leave around the 15th for London, and we will be gone for about a week and a half. So I will want to record again before we leave. So you can expect to hear from me maybe on the 12th or sometime around then. It might actually be earlier in the month depending on how much stuff I can get done. Ryan is gone again. He's maybe gone more days this month than he's home. He was on a radio broadcast recently, and he, you know, his the anchor, he introduced me. He's like, "This is Ryan Marine, who needs no introduction except at home." It was funny. Ryan goes, you know, I drop him off at the airport again, and it's like, I have pictures, so I'll remember what you look like. I can remind myself. It's okay. But, you know, he's gone, and the kids aren't here. They're off with my ex, their father. They're visiting his family. And so it's very quiet, except for the cat, who thankfully only whined once at the beginning of this video. But just me and the cat here at home. But it's good because I do a little bit of housework, and then nobody's around to mess it up again. I can, you know, you clean something and then suddenly it's not clean. It's like, I just cleaned this. No, I make my own messes. I clean up my own messes, and then things just stay neat and tidy because it's just me in the house. It's nice. And it also means I get a lot of stitching time because I don't cook when it's just me in the house. Like, I get takeout, and that lasts me a while. And then I have sandwiches, and I'll have cereal or something. Ryan kind of teases me every once in a while, or laughs at me at least. He's like, "How was your weekend?" And I was like, "Thanks, I had cereal for 6 meals." I eat other things, people, I promise, okay? It's good. I get to go to the gym, and I don't feel like I have to rush home for anything. And yeah, I mean, I wish, you know, I like having a full house. It's really nice. I like the noise. I like the chaos. But when I do get alone time, I try to, you know, take advantage of it and enjoy it. And I hope you guys get a little bit of that for yourself. It's good to have some you time, some me time, and get to stitch what you want to stitch, or work on other crafts, or go for a walk, or do some reading. Right now, the book that I'm reading is actually geared towards kids. It's one of the Mysterious Benedict Society books. I read the first one after Rupert, my 12-year-old, read it. He was like, "Mom, this is so good, you got to read it." And I blazed through it in like 3 days, and it's like a really hefty book. It was really good. So then he read the second one, and now I'm reading the second one. So if you have kids around that age, grandkids, kids, whatever, highly recommend. I'm really enjoying them. There's like riddles and mystery, and it's fun to try to figure this stuff out. And it's like, oh no, what's gonna happen next? But it's not like high stakes, and of course there's no adult themes or anything like that. It's just like a fun, easy read. It's like comfort reading, like comfort stitching, which, okay, so let's talk about Flosstube. Go watch Comfort Stitching. I know you have, because she's got like 1 million views already. Jackie and Sean of Periwinkle Stitcher. I watched her video 3 times already. It's so good. And then I already talked about Katie. Who else have I been watching? I know I watch other Flosstubes. Paisley Stitcher, that must be it. But there's a lot to discover out there, a lot of Flosstube content out there. And, you know, not all of it is for everyone, but I think there are so many people creating videos now. There are so many options. There is something for everyone. So I hope you find someone you like, and someone who can sit and entertain you while you stitch or do housework or whatever. All right, I've been rambling for a while, and I've shown you everything that I have to show you. So, you know, go and pull out a Tears for Fears album, crank that up, enjoy your stitching, and I will talk to you guys in July. Oh my goodness. Okay, bye. Happy stitching.